Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with SwiftCover.com. For car insurance, don't wait in line. Go online. Get a life. Get Swift covered.
Absolute Radio.
Welcome to the Frank Skinner Radio Show podcast from Absolute Radio. This is Gareth and Emily.
And there's no Frank because he just ran off suddenly.
Yeah, he's had to go. So he's doing the Hay Festival.
Hay on Wye, some literary festival.
Because we record this after the show, obviously. So, yes, he's gone. But
Thanks, Frank.
We're still here.
It was a good show, wasn't it?
It was a good show, yes. We had Alistair McGowan on. He was our guest. Did some impressions.
And Frank exclusively revealed some of his impressions, one of which was the Speaker of the House of Lords. So catch that while it's piping hot.
Order, something like that is what he did. Also, we found out about Emily's date with Teacher Joe, which was very exciting. I won't tell you anything about it.
Okay.
And we talked about what people wanted to do when they grew up.
We did.
Which was good. So all that is coming up right now.
That was Split Ends with My Mistake. And I thought every time I make a mistake today, I'm going to play the whole of that song. That would be a good way to run the show. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily and Gareth. And it's about 7 minutes past 8. And, you know, I think that's the first sound check I've ever given on this show.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, man, I feel so excited. So, yes. So I had a call from my girlfriend. My girlfriend's away this weekend.
Where is she?
She's at an ashram.
Of course she is.
An ashram, in case you don't know, is a sort of a... it's a sort of a... I don't want to say hippie, but it is a sort of hippie
It's like a
place.
spiritual retreat.
It's a spiritual retreat, that's what it is. And she said that they chanted Hare Krishna for 3 hours solid last night.
Wow.
That's quite... Last weekend I chanted Harry Redknapp for 3 hours solid, but West Brom still got relegated. That was my only... I had a horrible day.
Oh, Frank, were you upset?
You know, I thought I was going to be all right with it because it was like a very slow death, and we'd been bottom for about 23 years, it seemed like. So I thought, it'll be okay. And when it actually happened, I stood there applauding, and there was men in blue and white striped shirts leaving the pitch, and I could feel the tears starting, not just stinging my eyes, but, you know, when they're quite heavy on the lower lid, you know, one's going to hit the cheek any moment. Yeah. And I thought, I've got to go because I'm not staying for the lap of honour and cry and make a fool of myself. So there's two guys I always talk to sit in front of me, and I said, see you next season. And they turned around, they were both crying. And but hey, the worst thing is, you know, you get stuck in football traffic after a game. I got stuck in football traffic after that game, but it was Chelsea's football traffic. Because our game was at 1:30, and by the time I got back to London, so I was stuck in traffic with all these people looking dejected because they'd only finished third. And there was, like, people in Berber jackets and a woman in, like, a hand-knitted retro blue and white scarf, like, not proper fancy. Oh, if I had had my backpack flamethrower, it would have been a different story. Anyway, enough of me.
God.
Enough of me. What about you guys?
I'm good, I'm very well.
OK, let's get back to me. And then I went to... And then I went to someone's house for a meal, and when I got there, the first thing they said to me, and they're lovely people, this is Dan and Carmen, who are mates of mine, they said, oh, we had someone round last week, and they got a cab to turn up at 9:30, and they came for dinner and left at 9:30. Can you believe that? So I spent the whole night thinking, oh, God, how early can I leave?
That puts you under pressure. When someone draws attention to something, then you're thinking, well, what's the right thing to do?
Exactly, yeah. So I was thinking, well, I'm feeling a bit tired myself, but I daren't mention... I couldn't look at my watch.
No. So what did you do?
Well, I held out. I mean, I like to be in bed for about 11.
You see, that's what worries me about you, because I actually saw you the weekend... And I'm quite a bad leaver, I think, aren't I? I do. You can tell me now. I don't mind.
No, Emily,
I take 3
we
hours.
always love to have you round. You know that. No, you're not a bad leaver. It was my own fault. You were just leaving, and I put Derek Acora on. Who could leave? Who could leave with Derek Acora on?
I stood in front of the telly for about half an hour watching it.
Yeah, we did, because we were seeing Emily out. So we were standing watching the telly, because to sit down would have been to have accepted the fact that you weren't leaving. So we stood and watched but Derek Acora. He was a woman was sitting with him, and he was contacting
the world of spirit.
That's what he said.
The world of spirit.
The world of spirit, which, as I point out, is that like the world of leather? But the world of spirit would be a great name for like a big sort of off-license warehouse, I would go there. But he was on about someone. He was saying to this woman, "Oh, I've got your auntie on the phone. She's so proud of you. She's walking around the world of spirit, bragging about you." And I thought it sounds quite a sort of domestic kind of place, the world of spirit. I thought it would just basically be mist. But somebody's walking around there bragging about their niece.
And now people seem to change their character quite a lot when they go to the world of spirits,
Yeah.
because no one's walking around, "Oh, she's very disappointed. She thinks you need to pull your life together, and she's always told you that guy was no good for you, and what are you doing?"
I wish he had done. He never really does bad news. Derek.
Also, why do people in the world of spirits,
Yeah.
if we're assuming it does exist, why do they choose to contact everyone via a man with fake teeth and a grey bouffant? Why wouldn't you go through someone like the Dalai Lama or Alan Bennett or someone
The
really
Dalai
nice?
Lama, the trouble is, he's in the world of spirit, he's out again. They probably don't trust him, he's like an insider.
Yeah, they don't let Derek Acora into the VIP area of the
No.
world of spirits either.
The Dalai Lama's got a foot in both camps. I think he's like a football referee, he has to stay neutral. Derek Acora, so
Yes.
I was watching, they had a kind of a bank holiday special of Most Haunted, and they were tracking down Dick Turpin, the highwayman, had apparently, him and his mate and his girlfriend, who was called Anne Millington, they were all out together.
People
And this-
have girlfriends in those days, didn't they just get married?
I think they had. Oh yeah, he was a highwayman. You know, he was a bit of a maverick character, and anyway, so the three of them there, so Dick Turpin, his mate, and Anne Millington, and suddenly this gamekeeper appears, and Dick Turpin shoots him. Right, we're told this at the beginning by whoever was presenting it that day. They get to a historian who tells them the story. Then they get to Derek in a field with Yvette Fielding. Right, it's dark. And they're saying, "Are you all right, Dick?" And he goes, "Oh no, hold it. There's someone, fella called. He's called Dick. He's called Dick, and he's with his mate now, Albert, and they're there together. And his girlfriend's saying, 'No, Dick, don't shoot him. And her name's Mary Millington." He says, "Can I stop you at this point?"
Yeah.
Mary Millington was a 70s porn star. Right? the actual name of the girlfriend of Dick Turpin was Anne Millington.
Oh, no.
So how he could have heard the name of a 70s porn star accidentally said. But anyway, and then he said, "Oh no, here comes the gamekeeper. No, oh no, this is terrible. He's shot the gamekeeper." So then it comes back, and I thought, right, okay. They get to a woman in the audience, just a member of the audience, and she said, "Well, this proves, if beyond any doubt, that Derek has psychic powers, because." I mean, he's mentioned 4 names there. She said the human brain couldn't retain that much information. What? He's got one of them mixed up with a 70s porn star. One's Dick Turpin, which is not that odd. One's the gamekeeper.
There seems to be a lot of repeats going on in the world of spirits, don't they?
I've
Yeah.
told you never mention repeats on Absolute Radio, the
Well,
home
no,
of
I
the no repeat
saw
guarantee.
this the other day. The no repeat guarantee starts at 10 o'clock.
Does it?
Oh,
Yeah.
does it? Oh, well.
So we could play the same song over and over
We
and
could
over
have
and over.
the fall on a loop.
Yeah.
That's a
essentially.
Don't tell
fantastic
Frank
idea.
that, Emily. You're mad.
But repeats in the spirit world, you were saying?
Yeah, it just seems like when something good happens, they think, well, we're going to keep that in, and they just, let's do the Dick Turpin thing over and over again. That was wicked.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
No,
why was that happening in the world of spirits?
Oh, I see, because
Yeah.
it's already happened
It's
a long
all-
time
yeah.
ago. Oh, God, I've caught you up at last.
He's cleverer than us.
Yes.
The thing is, though,
maybe.
I don't believe it. I mean, I want to believe in a strange way, because I think it would be nice to think that we don't just go to dust. But I went. Is that not very absolute?
No, I think that's all right. Just don't repeat it. It'll be okay.
But I went to a psychic quite recently.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. She was awful. She didn't have that black hair, which I think they should all have, psychics. You know, they all have that raven black, psychic black, I call it, that hair.
Yes, okay.
And it was kind of a craft fair, so that should have alerted me to the fact that she wasn't going to be that good.
No, it wasn't a witchcraft.
No.
Okay.
And she read out, she sounded like a really bored sex worker. She went, psychometry, tarot, crystal ball, palm reading 20, or I can do special palm and tarot 10. So I went, okay, I'll go for the 10. And I felt really grubby that I'd only gone for the tenner.
You're right. That's how I feel when I talk to a bored sex worker. And I only go for the tenner.
Yeah. And then she started reading my tarot cards.
All right.
And she turned them over. She went, the Empress, the Chariot, the Knight of Cups, I said, yeah. I said, well, what do they mean? What does the Empress mean? It's like strong, powerful, emperor. I said, right, okay, anything more? So I pulled over another card. She went, that's very positive. I said, it's a hangman with a noose. She said that was a good thing that was going to happen to me. So then
maybe it was upside down or something.
Well, I don't know. I eventually said, look, am I going to meet a man? Which is what I wanted to know.
Of course.
Cut to the chase, woman. She said, I see a man abroad. I said, well, I don't know anyone abroad. There is a man abroad. She was absolutely insistent.
There are men abroad.
There are, because I was abroad once.
Yeah.
I saw at least 4.
Yeah, there's men there.
OK, they're wearing berets, but nevertheless, they are men.
So she then got angry with me, and she said, your trouble is you go for looks.
Wow.
She got cross with me.
Well, I've often thought that, I must admit. But, so you don't... But, you see, there might be a man abroad, and then you'll think, oh, that lady actually knew what she was talking about. Am I right?
Oh, you never know.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily and Gareth, and our guest after 9 o'clock is Alistair McGowan.
Oh, wow.
You know, the impressionist bloke. Yeah, him. There you go.
I've seen something in the papers, which was quite interesting, which was about this. He's the first official British astronaut, and I thought it was quite a sweet story because he said he'd always wanted to be an astronaut when he was growing up. I think that's cute.
Yeah,
and then he became one.
Not many people do that, I wouldn't have thought. I'm not sure. The space race was a massive thing when I was a kid. I remember being told that... because of man had landed on the moon, there'd be loads of warnings for earthquakes, and no one would be hurt in earthquakes anymore, or hurricanes would be able to predict all that. That went out the window, obviously.
No, and then they got to the moon and they realised there was no way to tell those things.
But I did read that the space race has led to a major advance in camping equipment technology. So that's what they gained, probably. Yeah, the space shuttle explodes, but hey, what a tent peg!
Probably the fleece they developed for space.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's gone very well.
I don't remember any tents.
What did you want to be when you were a kid, Frank?
I wanted to be. I wanted to be a cowboy, actually. That was my
Cowboy
big
Frank.
Yeah. I don't think many kids now want to be cowboys, do they? I don't know what they want to be now.
They want to be on sort of Britain's Got Talent and things, don't they?
Yeah. They want to be not stabbed.
Yeah.
A lot of them. But
or to stab people.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Either one or the other.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a professor of sweeties.
Right.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Wasn't Harvey Milk a professor of sweeties?
You got the professor right. That is a job that you do when you're grown up. But you were really hoping there would be professors.
There
of
probably
sweeties.
is a sort of a confectionery-based science. I like the idea that I'm a professor of sweeties because obviously you'd have to wear a dicky bow, but you'd have M&Ms on it.
I saw myself in a lab coat of some sort.
Oh, God, you'd be in a lab coat. I don't think there's any question about that. Once you step into the professor world, whatever your specialist subject...
With a candy cane in the top pocket.
What about this? What about this? What about this? What about if people phone in, or text in, actually? I'll give you the text number if I knew it. Does anyone know it?
Yes, I do.
It's 8 12 15.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
it.
See,
Yeah,
I remembered it.
Well done.
8 12 15. Text in and tell us what you wanted to be when you were little. Obviously, the weirder, the better. I look forward to that.
Absolute Radio.
Same as ever. It was that was Once in a Lifetime by the fantastic Talking Heads, and I must say the text messages are flooding in here on Absolute Radio.
Fantastic response so far.
This is what you wanted to be when you were a child.
Yes, Dennis wanted to be a caterpillar.
That's a top. Do you think he said that to the careers officer? You could work at Caterpillar.
He's currently sitting on a sofa eating all day and waiting for his wings. Someone wanted to be a beaver. Someone wanted to be a wizard. Jay from Worthing wanted to be in the Nolan Sisters. I think that's a boy.
Is Jay a boy?
It is a boy. Brad from Glasgow, I think that's supposed to be Glasgow, and wanted to be normal.
That's a joke, surely.
Yes, I think so.
Let's hope so.
Lucy from Sheffield wanted to be part of a Greenpeace whaling, like Greenpeace ship that rams whaling ships.
Oh, okay.
I thought that would be good.
Just a specialist area of Greenpeace. Yeah, I don't want to be giving out leaflets. I want to be sinking vessels.
Sorry, I just want to be ramming the whaling ships. I don't want any of this other stuff. And Justin Bully said he wanted to be a fire engine.
Not a fireman.
Not a fireman, a fire engine.
Okay.
Hey, this is good. This
Quite
is
difficult ambition.
Jane Crowther, who's actually someone I know, who's just emailed in saying when she was younger she wanted to be a street namer. She thought there was a person...
you worried me then. I thought you were going to say Walker. A street namer?
Yeah, she thought there was a person who was called to every new street and asked to think up a name for it. So she said, I imagined myself turning up and looking around for inspiration while a gaggle of builders and possibly the mayor waited for me to announce the street name.
Well, there must be a person who... do they have a kind of a vote?
I don't know, but it's presumably not the same person who does all the streets.
Could there be possibly a Frank Skinner Road one day in Oldbury in the West Midlands?
You just got to find a street namer and get on the right side
I've
of
got
it.
to find a street that hasn't got a name. But you often get that on SatNav. It says
Bono.
unnamed road. Next time I read that, I'm going straight there with a sign. If I keep Frank Skinner Street in the boot, as soon as it says unnamed road, I can just go there and knock it in. Who'd know? I'm all for it.
I think because Bono's such a legend, I think in the future they'd probably name streets after him, or maybe in his honour the streets will have no names. Thank you very much. Here all week.
Tell me the old story. I've got some jingles today.
Oh, really?
Go on.
You don't believe me, do you? I've honestly got some jingles. Do you want to hear one?
Yeah.
We've got our usual jingle, which is...
Saturday morning!
But I've got... And what about this one? What do you think of this?
I love that.
Yeah. Okay, obviously, it's the phone call I dread most of all. But...
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio, Frank Skinner, Emily, Gareth, Saturday morning. That's it, that's everything. I know it's Saturday morning because I'll tell you for why. Can I tell you for why? Yeah, well, here we go.
Saturday morning!
I was talking about... this is your one, Em.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's Pink Floyd, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love it.
Oh, yes, it is. I knew a guy called... What's he called? Floyd Green when I was a kid. And he was a black guy, but he had a thing called vitiligo, so his face was pink. And they actually used to call him Pink Floyd.
Really?
Yeah,
Floyd
and
Green.
Yeah, we never mentioned the surname.
No.
But he was okay with it seemed. I don't know why I told you that, and I didn't intend to. Can I thank everyone who texted in last week, by the way, because I'm doing a travel thing for children in need. I go from London to Turkey, stopping off at various places on the way. And they couldn't decide who was going to go with me because everyone's going in pairs. You do a leg each and you go around the world in 80 days. So people texted in last week to suggest who I should go away with. And Howard Jones was my favourite. Apparently he's busy. Can you believe that? Howard Jones is a no-show. I don't believe it. Anyway,
Ronnie Corbett, someone suggested as
Ronnie
well.
Corbett,
you put him in your rucksack.
Exactly. But as it turns out, in my conversations with children in need this week, they've actually decided they're going to send me on my own. Now, that might sound all right, but all the other legs are done by pairs of celebrities.
Right.
And I thought, well, maybe this is a compliment. You know, they think that I'm so funny that, you know, they're just me'll do it. And then my girlfriend says, do you think you're not popular? That no one else wants to go with you? And this has now slightly haunted me.
So you're going to go on your own?
I'm going to end up going, there'll be a crew, obviously, but I'm just going to... Even the cameraman said, no, it's fine. Just take some photos while you're there. We can piece them together with footage. No, so... It reminded me of a bit. When I was leaving the house this morning, Jane Horrocks was on the telly. Well, it says she was on the telly. She was doing an advert. She was talking about how much a basket of food costs at a well-known supermarket. And I did a thing called I think it was Flint Street Nativity. It was like a Christmas thing, and all these well-known actors. Neil Morrissey was in it, and Dervlico and John Thompson, and Jane Horrocks was in it. And at the end of it, I was talking to one of the actresses who was in it, and she said to me, "So, you know, you're all set for the party?" And I said, "What party?" She said, "You know the party at Jane Horrocks' house?" I said, "I haven't been invited." She said, "Oh, that's obviously a mix-up." And she went across to Jane Horrocks, and I saw her speak to her, and I saw Jane Horrocks' face slightly fall, and then moved to thunderous. And then she came back and said, So, what else? What else is happening?
Oh, no. Well, didn't refer to the party
No,
again.
everyone had been invited. Everyone in the cast except me.
That's horrible.
And I've never known
Have
why.
you ever been invited to a party by
I've been
another
invited to
celebrity?
4 parties in my life, and one of it.
And no one wanted to go away on Children in Need with you?
No.
Did they ask Jane Horrocks? She would definitely not want to go.
I wouldn't have gone with her if I'd have killed her. I'd have killed her
But
in
she can do-
Siberia.
She can do voices though, Jane
She
Horrocks,
can.
can't she?
Oh,
She
by
can
the way,
do-
we've got Alistair McGowan as our guest today. I'm glad to
Oh,
remind
should
us
we
that.
make him do impressions?
Does he still? He does. I think he started doing them again because he stopped for a bit. He
Oh, well,
gave
no,
up.
he's going to have to do them this morning. I've got a whole list.
Yeah, we're going to just do that. Do that. So if any of us have got any impressions, we better get them out the way now.
I've got one.
Go on.
I can do David Mitchell, but only in a very specific situation.
David Mitchell from Mitchell and Webb and The Peep Show.
Yes, exactly.
In a specific situation.
Yeah, so it's David Mitchell being asked by a paparazzi if he can have his photo taken. So, Frank, can you play the paparazzi and cue me in, saying, David, please, we want to take your
Yeah,
photo in quite an
okay.
aggressive, irritating way?
Okay. Hey, David, can we take your photo, mate?
I can't think of anything I'd like less, to be perfectly honest with you. What do you think?
That was
Was
wow,
that
it
your
was
warm
like
up, or was that it?
The girls laugh.
What if the girls laugh, but they stick together, don't they, Gareth? What about this? Who is this then?
Okay.
Order.
I presume that's Speaker Michael Martin.
Speaker Martin. That's who that is. I just perfected that impression. He's got the sack.
So,
Yeah,
Frank, you
that's-
can do the ex-speaker saying one word.
Well, he only ever says one word. I have been working on let the right honourable gentleman speak, but it's not as good as my order.
what a shame they don't do spitting image anymore. Because
No,
you
exactly.
would have been in
Oh
with
man,
that.
I would have cornered that Speaker Martin market. So, yes. Do you do an impression, Gareth?
I do. Kevin MacLeod of Grand Designs.
I don't,
you may not know.
No,
Has anyone-
but
have
it's
either
always
of you
good to
seen
do an
that?
impression of someone that nobody knows.
Or maybe the listeners can tell me whether any has heard of that. But it's they haven't built this house with bricks or steel. They built it with love, and they built it with their feet.
Does he talk a bit like you? See, it's terrible when you can do an impression and no one knows who it is, isn't it?
No, that's not very good.
I do John Bond, who was manager of Manchester City in Norwich in the 70s. Who's going to know him?
No.
Here it goes anyway. If anyone who does remember him, it's terribly important, Jim.
I'm sure that's brilliant.
They'll honestly
That
think
sounded
way.
like Bones off Star Trek. It's terribly important, Jim.
Well, it's not just the words, it's the voice.
Yeah, well.
Yes, obviously.
Hey, listen to this email. Sorry, I just feel compelled
Can
to
you
read it.
listen to an
Yeah.
email?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can if I read it to you.
You will be able to in the future. Carry on.
This is about, remember we were asking people to text and email in about jobs they wanted to do when they were kids. I wanted to fly Airwolf and save people. Now I would settle being Emily's secret lover. I love that.
What is Airwolf?
Airwolf is the helicopter from the 80s. In
Okay.
the 80s, they did all sorts of TV shows about vehicles. So
Yeah.
there was Street Hawk, I think, which was about a motorbike.
Okay.
Knight Rider was about a car.
Terrorhawks.
And Terror, that wasn't about... Was that about
there
vehicles?
there was a broomstick in it.
The A-Team had a van, and Airwolf was about a helicopter.
The A-Team had a van would be a great opening to a poem, I think.
I'm not listening. I'm writing down this telephone number.
Oh,
This
for
man.
goodness sake. By the way, those of you who listen to the show regularly, which I think is 4 people, will know that we set up a date this week for Emily. Teacher Joe, who is a teacher called Joe, who sent in and said he thought Emily looked great on the webcam. Which obviously we do Vaseline the lens and give it a sort of soft focus for that one. But you actually went out on a date this week.
I did, yeah. Oh, it was really nice. He was really sweet. We went to
You're
the-
already writing down other men's phone numbers.
Yeah, that's how do you think he
Text messages.
feels? Because he'll be listening to this, and you're writing down. Oh, you!
Broken his heart.
And
how did it
liked
go?
him. I was doing Oliver Hardy then.
Oh, yeah.
Not too late.
Do you want to hear? So he was really nice, but I'd dressed in jeans and he'd worn a suit. And I think that was kind of like the ending of Grease when they're both trying to please each other. I
Yeah.
think that's what we've done. And he was a really big Arsenal fan.
Oh God, I wonder what he's going to say. That frightened me. Carry on.
And he had an Arsenal belt. That's what a fan he was.
Wow.
Right.
And
He had an Arsenal belt?
yeah.
Okay. That's not a bad thing, but with a suit.
I always like a date to be wearing some sort of memorabilia.
Yes. Yeah,
It
exactly.
shows their interest.
I usually actually wear a replica shirt on a first date.
He looked really nice.
Did he have a bobble hat? Red and
Oh,
white?
be quiet. Oh, it says
Sorry.
Roberto Cavalli over there. Excuse me.
Okay,
He
sorry. Does he play for Chelsea?
I don't
No.
know who that is.
Anyway, he was really
I think
nice.
he's an 18th
Hold
century
on,
Italian painter.
Look, we've got the news coming up. So
Okay.
why don't we have some adverts? And just save this because I want
right.
to know exactly what happened on that date.
Saturday morning!
Frank, we've had an impression request.
Oh, really?
Yeah, directed at you. Jim says, Frank, can you do your Kenneth Williams impression that you did on Fantasy Football? What was that?
The idea is it's a combination of Kenneth Williams with a World War II fighter plane.
Right.
So it goes like this. I'll take a deep breath.
Frank, I'm worried about you still breathing.
Matron. That's it. Yes. So anyway, the date.
Okay. You just want me to talk because you can't breathe.
No,
now.
I'm always purple this
That
time
was
of the
very
morning.
good.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, so the day. So Joe, he was really lovely, but holy smoke, he was young. Compared to me, he
Yes.
was young. So
How young was he?
he was.
He was wearing an Arsenal belt. Remember?
Yeah, he was.
Did he have a baseball cap on back to front?
Was he wearing his football boots?
Stop it! You're both horrible.
Well, they are teachers are young now. You see, you was probably expecting someone with a pipe and a tweed jacket, but all that's changed now. They're
We had
different.
lots in common though, because he was saying he can't swear in front of the kids, and obviously I can't swear on the show.
No.
So we talked about that, which was
We
good.
talked about not swearing.
Yeah, for a little bit of it.
Sounds good.
No, it was. I had a really, really nice evening, but I think I have to set him free to be with a nice young girl. 'Cause
So he's listening to this now.
Yeah.
So he's basically being dumped on air.
It's not being dumped, Frank, because I think we both realised that the age gap was too insurmountable.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
Is that
Yeah.
how you ended the date? You said, right. How do we feel this went? Well,
It's a pity because
let's talk about the elephant in the room.
I imagine
cruel.
that him reading about the 66-year-old mother this week has probably given him hope for this marriage.
Frank Skinner?
Well, it means he doesn't have to rush into anything. You've got another 14 years, yeah? So it's not going to... Oh, well, if you're listening, Teacher Joe... Emily did like you, didn't you?
I really,
I feel
really
a bit like
liked
Cilla
Teacher
Black
Joe.
now when she talks to him after the holiday and
Should
one
we
like...
find Teacher Joe someone else? I feel responsible now for his future happiness.
Okay, if anyone wants to go out with Teacher Joe, just... we'll just give you his number. We'll read his number out later.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
we won't do that. We won't. That'd be terrible. I don't think we should imagine... I think he needs a little period of bereavement to get over this.
Yeah, I imagine he'd be off women from now on.
Yeah, especially old women.
After this heartbreak.
Oh, come on!
Oh, my word! Chris Moyle's called.
Yes,
He
that
wants
was
his
my-
remarks
I was
back.
doing my Chris Moyles impression, obviously. Oh, yeah.
It's a great one, may
Come
I
on,
say.
you Leeds United. Okay. So, yeah, you didn't say what you wanted to be when you were a kid, by the way.
I wanted to be a preacher. I grew up, my family used to go to church, and I thought that was the best thing to be in the world.
Are you telling me, right, that...
The only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man.
Oh, man, he didn't know that was coming. Wasn't that marvellous? You've gone red.
That was very good. I don't know why you've used that song and not the song that goes with my nickname, Sex Machine.
Yes. Well, we're having it overhauled at the moment.
Hey, can you imagine if we'd have all been on a road trip together? Professor of Sweeties, Cowboy Frank, and Father Gareth.
The preacher.
It would have been like a fabulous stagecoach journey in an old cowboy film.
Like a Johnny Cash song.
It would have been me saying there, "So, Padre, where you heading?" Why, thank you, ma'am. I will have a candy.
Would you care to have an aniseed twist, Father?
And you work in an academic institution, ma'am. Well, you sure are. Not just a pretty lady, but a very intelligent one. These are good. Is that licorice I detect? Now then, Padre, don't bore us with the good book. What did you do before you was a holy man? I'm loving it. I can feel, I'm moving on the chair with the stagecoach.
I would have been a bit disparaging about you. I would have referred to you as the American, I think.
Right, okay. So, so you would have been an English professor over here.
Professor of Sweden.
I'd say probably having some meetings with the professor at Hershey's about their stuff. So when did you decide you didn't want to be a preacher? Because we should point, the reason I had that jingle to hand there is because we've established before on this show that Gareth is the son of, not just the son of a preacher man, but one of a long line.
The son of a preacher man.
Yeah.
That would have been a bit of a mouthful for the song.
Well, it would have
the
been...
son of the son of a preacher man. It'd be like she was rapping.
Yeah, but if you got a scratching DJ.
Son of a preacher man!
So your granddad was a preacher man?
Yes.
And your dad?
Yes.
And how do they feel about you being a comedian then?
I think they're very pleased. My dad has stopped being a preacher man.
Oh.
So yeah, no.
Of his own volition,
isn't it? It's quite. It's
What are you suggesting?
He's suggesting some sort of controversy. No. He decided it was best not to.
Best not to be a preacher man. Okay. Was he mid-sermon or something and said, I've had enough of this.
You know what? I'm not sure about this whole situation.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't a bit like that.
Preach. Who needs it? I'll tell you what I need. You know what I really need more than anything else? It's the Fall.
Absolute Radio.
That was the Fall. Jawbone in the air rifle. I'm eating, which is not very professional, but I've got lots of news. This is Frank Scott on Absolute Radio with Emily and Gareth, and Alistair McGowan has entered the room, ladies and gentlemen.
If you want me to take over from you while you're eating, Frank, I can do your links for you. Hopefully nobody will notice the difference.
Oh, that's
we'll have
good.
To wait
Is it good? You see, you can't tell yourself, can you?
Here's another track from the Fall.
It is good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no. So, Alistair, you're doing impressions again because you stopped, didn't you?
I stopped, yeah.
Why?
Well, I've been doing it for like 15, 20 years, and I thought I'd run out of people to do, run out of enthusiasm. And so just needed to, and there was other things I wanted to do, so I've done my other things, and suddenly my ego woke up and went, oh, remember me.
So you've been doing impressions for 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I started doing was... Well, when I did the circuit, like 89, I started. And I was, doing on people like Trevor Brooking and all those sort of people in those days, and the likes of Jimmy Savile and people. And I've gone right through to the end of the show that we did. The TV show was about 2005. So it's just so many, and they were all just dancing around in my head. And I thought, I can't make anybody not sound like somebody else now. But then there's this new clutch of people, like, the Gokwans of this world, and people who've come through, and hey, girlfriend, I just can't wait to do them.
Well, Brick Smith, who's on the Gokwan show, is the ex-wife of Marky Smith, who's the lead singer of The Fall. You see, it's all that seven thingies of separation.
Fall, basically.
Exactly, it does. So you're going back on the road?
On the road and on the rails. I'm going to try and do this tour half on the railway if I can.
Oh, of course.
Road,
Yes,
okay. Green leanings.
Yes. He's got green leanings.
I've got green leanings.
They're lovely. I don't know who did them, but they're beautiful.
Are we allowed to ask Alistair to do people, or is that like an annoying bloke in the pub?
Yeah, I think you can.
Impressionists
He said
hate
I
that.
was. He said I was allowed.
Okay.
How can you
Alistair,
tell from there?
that's brilliant. Do you know who that is?
No.
Do it again, Alistair.
How can you tell from there?
Is it? It's Alan Davis, isn't it?
It's Alan Davis. Yeah.
That's very.
When he
That
got
was
caught offside.
really
He
good.
got caught offside in a football game I played with him years ago, and he lost it with the linesman. How can you tell from there? How can you tell? How can you tell from there? You remember these things, but yeah, back on the road, back on the rails in the autumn actually, but Edinburgh Festival first. I'm copying what you did. I read your book.
Because you've had 10 years
doing
off.
your whole set.
Oh, fabulous!
All your
As
jokes
me.
and everything, yeah.
Well, I hope it was
thing.
better than mine did.
Not the banana routine, but we won't.
No, don't to the banana routine. That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
So, you're doing Edinburgh first of all, and you're not. I just looked at the things we're supposed to plug today, and I'm happy to plug. But you've got so many things going on now, because you're in Edinburgh, but you're not just doing the stand-up in Edinburgh. You're also doing what is the other thing? It's like a review.
No, it's a show about Noel Coward. It's Noel Coward. I directed a play last year at my old drama school, Guildhall, and the students were absolutely brilliant. But we did a play, an obscure play by Noel Coward, and I got to know all his poems and his songs. And
we should say that Noel Coward is a very famous English sort of
Yes.
I think of him as a playwright, but he wrote songs and
Yeah,
everything.
most of his plays he wrote in the mid-20s, really. But he's sort of known for those posh plays, if you like. But he wrote the most beautiful poems and the most amazingly lyrical songs. And so I just wanted to do a show that highlights those songs and poems, really.
So,
that's what I'm doing.
and you're doing him in it? So
No, not really. I mean, I'll do him at one point, just because there's one of the poems that's written and it's signed, Yolson Silly, Noel Coward. So yeah, I've got to do it as Coward, really. But the rest, no, we've sort of dramatised them and made them into little stories about people of, all social classes.
Will you wear a silk dressing gown and have a cigarette holder?
I shall think about it.
I think you should. Of course, make sure you don't accidentally lapse into Hugh Hefner at that point. So, look, you've given us now... We're going to have just a brief period of asking you to do people, and then we'll let you off the hook.
Only if you do your John Bond again.
Okay. Do you remember John Bond?
Yeah, of course I remember John
there
Bond.
you go. It was good, wasn't it?
It was very good.
Okay.
Can I just say, when Alistair came in, though, he said my impression was good. He didn't say anything about your impression, Gareth, or your impression, Frank.
Well, that's because he's a very charming fella, but not necessarily that honest.
What I liked as well about your David Mitchell is that you'd chosen something that, like John Bond, that no one had done before. It wasn't like, let's all do Sean Connery. It was David Mitchell, which is really left field. I like that.
Yeah, but you condemn me for only being able to do one word of Speaker Martin. Order. Order. But you only did about 6 words of David Mitchell.
Obscure ones are brilliant when you get them, and you realise people actually do know. Like one of my favourites is Trevor Francis, and I mean people don't see him so much nowadays, but obviously you and I grew up with him and being in the Midlands and everything as well, playing for Birmingham City, and he's got this really unusual accent. It was always one of my favourites. But as I say, nobody really knows Trevor Francis.
I'm sure people know Trevor Francis.
I like your Graham Norton. Can I hear that? That's my first request.
What, my Graham Norton?
No, not yours.
Okay, sorry.
Well, let's do a private hearing later on.
It's endlessly fascinating. Do you ever get stuck with people on planes and stuff who say, and then can you do, and then can you do, and then can you do?
No, not really, only on radio shows.
Oh, now you make us feel bad. You give us permission.
Yes.
And then what I'd like to hear is, can I just ask you this? Are the people you can do who you don't do? Because, for various reasons. Because I do quite a good... I don't even know if I should say this on air. I do quite a good Enoch Powell. Now, for those of you who don't know Enoch Powell, he was, let's call him a right-wing politician from the 1960s and 70s, right? I mean, very right-wing in some respects. And I think I do quite a good Enoch Powell.
Yes.
But along with your David Mitchell, you can only do him saying one word. I can only do him saying one sentence. And it's from quite a horrible speech that he did. So I can't do that, you see. It's very frustrating. I could perhaps do the first bit.
Do you do bookings? Because the BNP are doing quite well at the moment, and maybe you could get some work out.
No, but I'm making the point. It's an impression I don't want.
Okay.
While we're on that political party, there was a thing on the news about, or was it on the news about going to meet the Queen, and the guy is not going to go and meet the Queen, the leader of the party. But next week, the French Open starts. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but for the last 20 years, at least, I've watched the French Open on, whatever, BBC Two sometimes, and it's sponsored by the Banque Nationale de Paris. So every year, when the French Open is on television, the initials BMP are plastered across the television because of the tennis at the French Open.
I bet they're using that as
They probably will.
that as an advert. I wouldn't be surprised.
So but no, because it's French, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. They wouldn't like that.
No.
What I'd like to know, Alistair, is...
Yeah.
You must have a whole new batch. So we're going to let you off the hook after this because we're not going to keep...
Okay.
I am.
What?
Make him keep doing it.
Oh, no, you're not.
Okay.
I'm forbidding it because I can see he's thinking, no, I've had enough. It's hurting my throat. It's hurting my throat. Like the Roman I seem to see. You must be doing new people. So is the one that's absolutely hot off the press you could preview on this show?
They never spring to mind properly. I mean, when I was coming to the studio, I noticed actually that Jarvis has got his new album out, hasn't he? And it's strange sometimes when people like, I used to do Jarvis years ago, and he's kind of disappeared, you know what I mean? And then suddenly he comes back into favour because he's got his new album out. So someone like that is great to do because it's just like I say, it sounds like it's new. new, but it ain't, because it's like from years ago. Do you know what I'm saying?
It occurs to me that if we kept you on this show on a retainer, we just never need book another guest. You could just come on and do that person every week.
The other one who I've enjoyed doing lately is and again he's somebody who's like come back into favour. Is Gary Barlow, you know? Hey, do you know what I mean? He's like really, just so slow, you know. He's like the slowest bloke you've ever heard talking all your life. It's just, you know, unbelievably slow.
That's such a comedian thing as well, to watch out for people coming back into the news that he used
completely.
to do. God, I can't tell you how pleased me and many other comedians were when we went into the golf for the second time, because we had all our Gulf War material from the first time around. I mean, the day the Queen Mother died, I sobbed quite openly. I lost at least 12 minutes of material.
But things do come back. You remember years ago we used to work with Leos, didn't we? Leos was doing all sorts of comedy at the time, TV and radio and stuff. Leos was everywhere. And now you do your Lee Hurst impression, don't really get much now. But I realised if you mix Lee Hurst with David Beckham, you get Ronnie O'Sullivan, which is because, you know, Beckham obviously, you know, is very shy and he's very confident and all that. And if you put Ronnie O'Sullivan, he's got Beckham's voice, but he's got Lee's attitude, so you've got to put both together. And you go, sneakers, this guy's just a game for me. So, I just don't care about sneakerheads, you know what I mean?
It's endlessly entertaining. Anyway, look, someone sent me an album, right, by a band called Let's Wrestle. And I thought, I'll stick it on, I'll have a listen, because nobody sends me free. The reason I took this job was to get free CDs. I've had about 4 in 3 months. But this album turned up by Let's Wrestle. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And this is my favourite track. I think what I really like about this, I really love a backing vocal.
Absolute Radio.
So, Alice, you've also, apart from... let me just go through it. You've got a tour starting in September.
Yeah.
But before that, you're doing a stand-up, an impression show, and a show about Noel Coward in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You've got a radio series coming up. You've got a film coming out. You've got a play that you've written about to be staged, and you've got a book out. We haven't got time for all that. Tell us about the book.
The book, I've been writing it with Ronnie Ancona, and it's about, it's called A Matter of Life or Death, subtitled How to Wean a Man Off Football. And it's really about me giving up football.
I don't like the sound of it.
Could you give up football for a year?
Definitely not.
No. So that's what I try to do, and it's like an addiction, I think, and people don't really realise. You know, the whole male-female attitude to football is fascinating. How, I mean, we're being gender-specific here and probably stereotyping, but the majority of women can't stand football, the majority of men love it, you know, and it's always a source of argument in relationships, and that's really what the book is about, and that it is an addiction, like smoking and drinking, and you can't give it up. And I tried for a year to give it up, and it was like hell.
When you say give up football, do you mean going to games, or do you mean...
The whole thing, like not being aware of anything.
Not reading the back pages and not talking about
the obsession,
all that.
The obsession with football.
Everything. And the hardest thing for me, as I put in the book, is not reading the results, and particularly not knowing the attendances. I just somehow have this OCD thing about needing to know that.
I think I could live without knowing the attendances, to be honest, especially at West Brom.
Yeah. But no, it's just it's a fascinating.
And you did it religiously for a year.
I tried to, yeah. And the book is about that struggle to give up, but I gave up slowly, bit by bit by bit, and then eventually nothing for several months.
So how does the book work then? So Ronnie Ancona writes some parts and you write some other parts, or you write together? Yeah,
well, there's times where we come together and talk about it, so there's dialogue between the two. It's about football and about our relationship as well, and about some bit about the working together, so there's some reminiscences in it too. But it's essentially about male-female attitudes to football, and her trying to stop me from taking part in it at all, and seeing the folly of an absolute addiction to it, really. And I've tempered it since. I've tempered it. But it's so easy now. I mean, we grew up in a generation where it was Match of the Day, Football Focus, and Shoot magazine. That was it. And you think now it's, you know, Sky Super Sunday all day. It's Monday Night Football. It's football every night of the week.
Yeah, you can watch J-League, you can watch Dutch League and everything.
You could watch non-stop 24-hour football and read about it and do nothing else. And I think that's almost dangerous. I mean, I'm an addict from what I was exposed to as a child, but now football is so huge.
Is it so huge? I'll tell you how huge football is now, that if someone has actually emailed in and said, can Frank do his John Bond impression again?
She said that
this is a manager
her name's
that no one
Susan,
remembers.
and she says, my husband was out of the room when you did it, and I knew that he knew John Bond, and he wants to hear it, so could you please do your John Bond impression?
Does it say what the husband's called?
No, it does. Oh, no, it doesn't, I'm afraid.
Well, the impression goes, it's terribly important, Jim. That's it. That's all I can say as John
Can
Bond.
you name the 3 clubs he managed?
He managed Man City, Norwich.
4 clubs.
And did he? He played for West Ham. I don't think he ever managed them, did he?
No, I don't think so. Southampton as well, didn't he manage Southampton?
Did he?
Norwich, Man City, Bournemouth.
Okay.
I thought he managed Southampton.
Anyway, this is
Somebody-
probably...
yes.
I think this has gone a bit
That's
Five
why
Live.
it's an addict. That's why I'm an addict. That's why.
Yes, I think you were right. You were right to give it up, I have to say.
Yes.
So you're off there. And you're doing the Hay Festival, aren't you?
Yeah, Hay Festival tomorrow.
And
like-
so am I.
Yeah.
I'm driving like a lunatic, obviously within the speed limits after this show, and I'm on my way to the Hay Festival. So
I've
if
never
you're...
been before. I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
I've never been before either.
No.
Thank goodness.
Frank, there's
I've
a
got
quick
it sat
request
nav.
for Alistair. Have we got time?
I'll go on and make it. If it's
Ross
that quick-
Kemp or David Tennant?
I don't do either of them.
Thank God that didn't take very long at all. Alistair, go
Well, I
and
will.
see,
By the
go
time
and
the call
see
comes round.
Alistair in Hay, or see him in Edinburgh, or see him on the road. He's very, very funny.
That was
Thank
a great
you,
finale
Alistair.
too, wasn't it? No, I can't do that.
Yes, obviously, and always remember, he can't do
The
everything.
finale in the show will be better than that.
Absolute Radio.
Foo Fighters, times like these. Everybody was Foo Fighters. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's what they should record.
Order.
That wasn't me doing it, by the way. If you thought, oh, he's lost it. He's lost his Speaker Martin thing. So after this show, I'm going to leap into my car, drive to Hay, which is something like 180 miles away. Then I'm going to do a quiz show for BBC4 called What the Dickens. Which
Is that Sandy Toksvig?
It is Sandy Toksvig.
I love her.
Yeah. Yes, I'm assuming that it's a quiz just about Charles Dickens. So I've read his complete works this week,
Excellent.
and I've memorised large passages, and I've worked out a bit of I've got a whole sort of Jarndyce versus Jarndyce routine, and a little bit of. I do a kind of a my mutual friend bit where I do all the voices and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And then in the evening, I'm doing a book reading at the Hay Festival, in which I read from my book, which is because it's actually came out last year, but it's coming out in paperback now. So
Okay.
because it's cheap now, you do a whole round to try and sell it to the people who were not going to buy a hardback. I personally hate a hardback
Do you? Why?
because it's heavy for carrying. You see, when you I thought when about going to Hay, I thought, oh, I'll take that book, and then I thought, oh no, I don't take a hardback. Too heavy.
Well, what book are you talking? I mean, The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire is
No,
heavy.
any
but
hardback.
Jackie
It's got-
Collins hardbacks aren't heavy.
I don't want anything with sharp corners in my luggage. And a hardback, there's something lovely about a paperback. You just read it and, dispose of it. It's great. But a hardback, it feels like something your granny's bought you. It's got that stupid, they make the book and then they put a cover as if we forgot to put a picture on the book. We better wrap something around it. Like when you used to cover your rough book at school in wallpaper. I hate hardback. I said to the publisher, let's not do the hardback, let's just... We're outraged. That's where they make all the money, you see, the hardback. Anyway, you don't want to hear about my... that's what I'm doing today, if there's any burglars listening.
We've got some final emails from the. We asked people to text in what they wanted to be when they grew up, before they grew up, and Wayne from Washington wanted to be a big issue man.
Right.
Selling the big
I
issue.
wonder if that...
I wonder if his
worked out.
dream came true. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Barack from Washington.
Paul wanted to be a wavenologist. I guess that's someone who studies waves.
That's jolly. That would be an oceanographer. Oh, I'm posh knowing that.
No, I don't know. Maybe if there's a specialist wave,
Okay.
a professor of waves.
Beck texted in, who is Daisy's sister. Daisy is one of the people who works on the show, and she said Daisy and I wanted to run a taxi rack called Julie's when we were little. A taxi rank. No idea why we had.
Nobody
We've never
runs
been
a
in
taxi rank.
Why was it called Julie, Daisy?
Why are they
Julie's?
Julie's?
Because my auntie was called Julie.
Oh, well, fair enough. Daisy's auntie's called Julie.
Did she run a taxi rank?
No, and we never ever did taxis. I don't know.
Just seemed very glamorous, like a big issue.
It's odd that, because I had a taxi rank called Auntie Doreen, which people didn't use. But that's the end of the show, I'm afraid. But thanks for texting in. You've been lovely. Thanks to Alistair McGowan, who's gone now off to work. And we'll be back next Saturday, won't we?
We will.
Good day to you.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with SwiftCover.com for car insurance prices that'll blow you away. Get a life. Get Swift Cover at SwiftCover.com.
Absolute Radio.
Barbecue season is here. With KFC's new Ultimate Barbecue Burger. Original recipe chicken. crispy onions, and smoky barbecue sauce. Grab KFC's Ultimate Barbecue Burger before it goes. Available while stocks last until the 9th of June at participating restaurants and delivery partners. Delivery fees apply. Full T's and C's at kfc.co.uk.